Great. Nice to be here with you, Bernie.
Good to see you again, Robert.
I love when you come because I have this connection with you in my heart. You know, what I do for a living. I'm around in Denmark, and I speak about some of the things that you also speak about. And this is the only thing I want to. I find myself in a position that I can't do anything else. I just try to speak from the truth within.
If you're called to that, there'll be nothing else you can do. And if you do, it'll be painful.
And this is actually where I'm going, because right now doing what I'm doing is so very, very painful. I feel like I'm caught up in so much pain, and I see it. It comes out in my relationship. It comes out in my work. I have so much self hatred coming up, if you can call it that. You know, where I have bad thoughts about myself and things like that. And what I see is this is happening for a lot of people around. That in one way we all want to stand there on the stage with shiny teeth and say, welcome, this is all love, and we just have to understand that we are loved. But at the same time, we are in such a painful situation. And I just want to ask you about this.
It's not the situation that is painful. It's your identification with the situation, and the situation is self. And you're situated in the self, which you as awareness are moving. You're moving as awareness in yourself. So if you have a look, it's a situation in which you're knowing more now than your self-experience. And when you're knowing more than your self-experience, then yourself will start undoing very quickly. So you're knowing more than your self-experience, but you're not living what you're knowing in yourself. No. So that'll be painful, and yourself will be moving very desperately, because you're knowing something deeper, and yet you're not living that depth. So then you'll have a self that belongs to another time, space, dimension of your old consciousness. But you're already grown into a deeper place of higher reality, but it's not got full response in the form of yourself as yet. Yeah. So the red light then is where you know that you are love in the deep, but the experience of the situation is that's not demonstrated in your thoughts or your feelings or your relationships. Well, it doesn't need to. This is what you have to know. Your relationships don't have to show up as bright, shining love. You do. You have to show up as awareness, knowing deeper than your self-experience. That means then you won't close down just because you're not feeling so great on the level of yourself. You will realize that's on the level of yourself. And so you'll let go of the self being any indication of how you're doing and who you are. Because the brightness of you as awareness is already open to so much more than what you put together as a self. But if you want to feel good about that on the level of self, you're going to be mistaken. Because until you integrate yourself into the higher realities you're entering into and knowing, yourself cannot perform for you what you're in the knowing of, but as yet you're not activating that in your life because you need to feel good. Well, you don't need to feel good as a demonstration you're doing well. You get this? So that means you'll be really emptying out, and it'll be difficult in the self, but you'll use that difficulty to open into a greater depth of knowing, and that will bring understanding. So you won't move according to how you think or how you feel. You'll be a movement of direct and immediate self-knowledge. And you won't need to feel good. And you'll start to stand, as it were, upright and wide amongst your situation, as you put it, but from a different place, and yourself will get that. And they'll be dying in that, but there'll be an immediacy of goodness in that. And it'll start to shine, and you'll just go, yes, yes. So now you've activated a deeper inner space into yourself. And that's how it goes. So there's emptying out and filling up. The more you live what you're knowing on the level of yourself, the more yourself begins to be able to reflect back to you that you're no longer operating and functioning in the old time space that you got so used to, how you put all those energies together. You're now functioning from the unknown, the deeper you. A whole different opening will take place. And it won't need you to have a particular experience for you to be what you fully are.
Mm. Yeah, I get it.
As he breathes. Yeah.
I recognize in myself, and I also got a lot of questions lately. For example, like this woman asked me in the evening, and she's lying there with her boyfriend, and he would like to have some sex, but I mean she thinks there's been so many things, and she's so tired. So just thinking about all the layers they have to go through to get that intimacy, she can't almost get there because it's too much. And I see patterns similar to that in my own life and in other people's life.
Okay. The thing is, I like the way you just brought sex in.
Yes.
Just coming out of the blue. The thing is, there is already pure sex present. The very formation of the universe is the expression of being as pure sexual energy moving form together. And pure sexual energy moving form together is your real embodiment. And it has so much potential to grow further, deeper, real embodiment, because there's no end to consciousness being true in the movement of having a self that doesn't instantly embody what love really is. The union of truth and knowing, or awareness and knowing. It is the coming together of energy and consciousness forming love. A union that is embodied as your presence in a body that's not of a time space that yourself once functioned from. That's the now. That really is the now. What the now is we're here now in this form, functioning out of what we know deeply beyond the self is the formation of a new self, and it's all now. So, reflecting on what you said about this guy that wants sex, and sex not moved by your heart is pain, frustration, anger, guilt, shame. So many energies come from that. But the making of love, which is an intimacy that you're already beginning to know a communion with without the need to put the bodies together, is when the hearts are becoming communed in the love of life and what is meaningful and deep. Then when intimacy really comes together in your intimacy sexually, then sexuality and the heart is the true meeting place of what you are deeper, on the deeper levels of the presence of the masculine, the presence of the feminine, all aligned with the depths of the self.
I get what you say, because what I feel is that all my ideas of sexuality are getting fucked up.
Yes, that's a good way of putting it.
Isn't it? Yeah. Because this is how I see it. All my places where I could hide, where I could get a fix, where I could...
Yes.
It's like it's...
Yeah, to maintain a self not belonging to truth, to maintain sexuality not moved by the presence of heartfulness. And that's sex, not the light that you know how the universe is being expressed in being. That's sex for a particular entity, a particular self. An intelligence that believes it is the body mind. But natural making of love is when man and woman come together from a deep, meaningful pull to see each other from beyond their current existence.
Yeah.
So they connect with a communion within the deep of being, within and where man and woman doesn't exist, but already is one in being. Then the connection spills out, as it were, into the depths of the feminine and masculine principle, and ends up as it is being expressed in two bodies, but in total union with the one. Now that's deep intimacy.
It is.
And that's true sexuality. So within that, then, man and woman begin to express their deeper levels that are opening up beyond their separate sense of self, and that brings them into union, having a self. That is the real making of love. So it's reaching into each other without the use of sex, but reaching into each other as beings that make love.
Yeah.
That then includes the pure intimacy.
It's a wild trip, it is.
It's so amazingly deep.
Because it's like everything, from my perspective, what I know, it's not even sex anymore. It's not enough. There's
no.
Yeah. It's demolishing. It's like
everything that's on the level of your old sexuality will fade in comparison with true union, because true union doesn't need to unify. It's the recognition we're already one, and there's a quieted sense of communion where you could look at each other and you're knowing so deeply your oneness, even if that didn't move in making of love. The making of love is already taking place right here and now.
Yeah.
On in the deep, and that will move together, where bringing the bodies together is not a movement of self, but a direct movement of love itself, and that's a different opening altogether.
It is.
Yeah, and that brings both partners into a quieted opening within the heart, and less functioning of need takes place, and more very simple, beautiful openings to life and to the deep. And you begin to really see and know each other. And then the energy of being begins to move between you, and you know you're one, and you're able as a being to reach into each other. And that opens up and displays itself in your intimacy, in your life, and how you bring a whole new life together. You're literally making a new self together. New kind of humanity. And a love that's no longer an affair. A love that is deeply real and already present and flowing. Whole different experience.
Yeah.
But it does undo the old levels of yourself where one functioned from wanting and needing sex to give yourself a sense of self-satisfaction, because the pressure of a life living separate from the source is exhausting and painful. Yeah. So we use sex to kind of keep ourselves away from our deeper pain.
Yeah. And you're funny, because this is how I feel it. I feel this heart opening, and then if something gets frustrated in my relationship, I can see that I tend to hide in the old sexual places.
Yeah. Well, that's how you learnt to move, because somewhere on the level of self, you wanted sexual experience, but in awakening, deep awakening, you already realise having a body is the depths of intimacy of sexual experience being moved directly by conscious awareness. It is what really is the height of sexuality already. It's called life. You see, and so things change, and you no longer pull up references, although they're going to come up, of your past. You're reaching for the deeper intimacy of your own being and the deeper intimacy of the other's being. So then when the beings flow together, then real love is known, real love is made, and you've experienced a communion with woman, with man, deeper than a separate sense of self, and that makes you both new. You're new love, and you could say to each other, I really love thee, because it's really felt and known from the deep. You are entirely different, because you've reached each other in the depths of what you are as beings. So you're made new in that moment. There's nothing personal about it, but it moves through the personal realm as clean love moving, and life becomes real and deep.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about.
I have a last question.
But your shadow's still going to come up.
Oh, I see them all the time.
To be met by your deeper knowing. Not to be pushed down, but to be allowed to flow through and meet the new level of love and light that you're coming to understand.
Yeah. Yeah.
To hold hands in that, to be together in that, and welcome that is to be true and move together into greater depths of intimacy and being.
See you, sweetheart. Do you listen to this fantastic thing?
But you've got to bring it together. It's got to be so real for you that you don't need any experience of that as a feeling. You could be feeling terrible on the level of self, but your knowledge is moving so deeply inside. So you don't need to feel that this is real on the level of the feeling sense of self, or even in thoughts. You just know it's real, and you're moving into that deeper. It will begin to move through your sense of feeling, through your sense of mind. Greater clarity will happen. Greater opening of the heart will happen, but you're not waiting for that to happen. You're realizing that the level you're now coming from, moving into the self, is emptying how you used to function. And a new movement, a new functionality from the depths is beginning to take place.
Yeah, it's happening right now.
Yeah,
I welcome it. So Bernie, right now, a lot of people talking about twin souls.
Mm-hmm. Are they? I wasn't aware of that, but okay, you've just made
me
aware.
In this area, a lot of people talk about twin souls, meeting their twin souls, wanting to meet their twin souls and things. Can you say something about it?
Yes, your twin souls is quite simple.
Yeah.
Awareness, knowing is your twin soul.
Yeah.
You take that go anywhere else with that, you're mistaken. When awareness moves is what it really knows, then one yes is moving in the movement of man and woman. No such thing as twin souls as a particular level or an other.
No.
It's just when you're aligned with what you deeply know is true, then you're moved on levels being to being, and keep open with that, because when that kind of love opens, it's really not about the other. It's a union inside that pulls other beings to have real relationship.
Yeah.
It's really not about...
It's not a special kind of relationship.
It's not a special kind of relationship. It's landing in a place in the depths of your heart where other beings that are awakening in this formed universe, and they belong to that place that transcends this universe but moves in this universe.
But can you say like this, that in this time we're living right now, more and more people find each other's hands and want to go through this change, and that's why they call it something?
I hear, yes, it's an identification with a particular someone. There is no particular someone. That particular someone is the likeness of your own real self. If you hold hands, if we can use that analogy, with another being that's also holding hands with truth, and you're holding hands with truth, then that being comes up to alignment and one with your movement of being true. Now, if you want to call that a twin soul, you can, but I wouldn't use that.
No. But it's great to have it in that understanding, because you're actually finding it when you yourself are ready, if you can say like this, or ready is not even the right word.
Well, there is a readiness to belong to that's deeper than your self-experience, so you won't be navigating your relationships from your past self-experience or the kind of experience that you believe you need. You don't need experience. In fact, if you're in the experience, you're moving through what you want to experience, you're still in a sense of self. You're still separate from the universe, separate from love, and separate from anybody that you ever meet. So when you transcend the need for experience, what opens up is the depths as yet of love that has not had form. So now what comes together is the deeper levels of an opening moving into form. So that's brand new, realized love having form. You're beginning to move as your being moves, always as one union, one love. So you can't navigate love from your past experiences. That is dualistic. You navigate in love by simply being true to what you deeply know without referencing your past experiences. That's real love.
Yeah. So it's actually just us people. We need all these labels to put on the change that I have.
Less and less labels when you really come to the depths of your meaning and being of love. Less and less labels. You just know to move this way of being.
Yeah.
And although self will still empty, you're no longer needing yourself to feel good to know you're moving in and as truth and love. You're listening so deep, it has nothing to do with a sense of self. And yet that opens the sense of self to true sense, an empowerment that comes from beyond the need of experience. You're already moving in a greater reality that is already full. But that will lead you to self-enlightenment if you continue to deepen like that. You'll transcend even believing you ever were a man or woman. You are the self. And yet, if there's still a calling to be with another, then you'll be the self together as one movement of the deepening in the self. That's real and that's love.
Thank you.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you. I'm looking forward to the satsang this evening.
Or you can just stay present.
I will.
I will go and get myself changed.
Do that, Bernie.
And, yes. Hello, Tina. Hello. Do you need the keys or not? You don't need the keys.